Welcome to another MXA video. For this one, we are digging up some unseen footage from our archives. We tested Mike Alessi's Yamaha YZ134 two-stroke over a year ago, and you might recognize the Blendzall graphics as they are the same as he had on his YZ325 two-stroke test video that we posted a while back. Since this video was shot, Mike Alessi has gotten new YZ125s and he switched from the current engine that we tested to a new Vansummeren-built one, but this bike is still a ripper and we are happy to explain all about it in this video. Chad Braun at XPR Motorsports has a working relationship with the Alessi family since he builds all of the race engines for the MotoConcepts Honda team. Both XPR and Mike Alessi felt that a YZ134cc big bore would be a great option for their race spec bike, even though the Pasha 125 open class allows up to 150 cc's. Diving into the engine, Chad bored out the cylinder, making it 2 millimeters bigger and up the internal volume to 134 cc's. VHM makes an interchangeable combustion chamber dome for this bike, but instead of using one of their spec domes, XPR requested a blank insert from VHM, which they custom ported and matched to a 56 millimeter Wiseco piston. On the bottom end, the crank and cases were built by a Belgian engineer, Dirk Vansummeren of DVS Racingworks. Mike also used a DEP pipe and silencer with a full Rekluse TorqueDrive clutch. As for the carburetor, he kept the carburetor and ECU both stock while using V-Force 4 reeds. And for the fuel, Mike used VP MRX02 cut with VP C15. Beyond the power department, Mike Alessi used an ultra trick CRM carbon fiber fuel tank with a flat top cap, making the top of the tank look extra factory. And even cooler than the carbon fiber fuel tank was the carbon fiber CRM subframe, which had more than just one benefit. Not only did it lower weight, but it also increased power because it holds more air volume than stock, which helps the engine breathe easier and produce more pony power. Mike explained to us that the subframe actually felt lighter than the box it was shipped to when he got it at his house. It practically eliminated all metal in the rear end of the bike except for the seat brackets and bolts. All right, so let's dive into the suspension on this bike. Mike used stock KYB components with Racetech valving on his YZ134, and he switched out the Yamaha front brake master cylinder for a 2005 Honda CRF 450 master cylinder, and he upped the front brake rotor from a 270 to an oversized 280 MotoStuff rotor. He also exchanged the stock YZ125 front brake lever for an arc lever, and he protected his aftermarket Honda Yamaha MotoStuff hybrid front brake system with an Acerbis front brake rotor guard, and he used an Acerbis skid plate as well to protect the bottom of the engine. Going deeper, Mike's YZ134 had a Nihilo ignition cover, and he had his name and number custom engraved into it from Nihilo as well. He also used MotoStuff Pro pegs that were held on by FCP foot peg titanium pins. As for the sprockets, Mike Alessi went with PBI, and this is actually the same company that the MotoConcepts Honda team had been using up until they switched to Renthal back in 2021. Mike's YZ134 also had stock rims and stock hubs with Dunlop MX33 tires, Mika Metals handlebars, and a Guts Racing seat cover, Works Connection hole shot device, and black and yellow UFO plastics covered in stickers made by Moto Graphics. All right, so let's get into the fun part of this video. How did this bike run on the track? Well, if you can't already tell by watching me ride this thing was extremely fast. It was so much fun to ride. It felt like a factory two-stroke with more bottom end, and it felt like the bike had its own personality that actually wanted you to go faster. During the time we rode Mike's 134 big bore, we also got to ride a pro circuit built Ryan Villopoto YZ125 replica engine, And that spec engine from Pro Circuit brought our 2021 YZ125 up from 33.5 horsepower to 38.3 horsepower. So a big jump up there, almost 5 horsepower total. It also was amazing to ride, and that was previously the best YZ125 I had ever ridden. For the most of the MXA test riders, is the best one that they had ever ridden. As soon as we jumped on Mike Alessi's bike, that bike even blew it away just a little bit more. His bike was recorded at 42 horsepower on XPR's dyno. So obviously comparing horsepower is different for different dynos, but the Pro Circuit dyno with the YZ125 engine for Villopoto, 38 horsepower. XPR dyno with the big bore YZ134 for Mike Alessi, 42 horsepower. However, that isn't really an apples to apples comparison, since one was limited to 125 cc's while the other one was upped to 134 at being a big bore. Still, it was awesome, and being able to compare Villopoto's spec engine to Mike Alessi's was helpful, and compare the bikes to back, knowing just how good Mike Alessi's YZ134 really was. The MXA test riders are often spoiled with more bikes to ride than they can handle, so it takes something special to really inspire them. Alessi's YZ134 was exactly that bike. Its personality was one of a motorcycle that wanted to win, whether the rider did or not. The way it idled, it wanted to pull out of some of the corners before the throttle had even been opened. The power shined in the mid-range, making it easier to ride than most factory two-strokes because the power was spread out liberally. It wasn't only on top. Our test riders didn't need to ride the clutch going up the steep hills, and the engine was just ultra crisp in a firing way that didn't require extra effort from the rider. The bike picked up as soon as he turned on the throttle, and it wasn't hard to find the power as it was spread out very evenly. For the most part, our testers didn't notice how the YZ134 handled on the track because they were so enamored by the luscious spread of power. That might sound silly, but it's true. And the best suspension is a suspension that you don't think about when you're riding. It soaks up the bumps when it's supposed to and allows the bike to turn the way it was meant to. Even on a rough Glen Helen track, our testers had zero complaints about the handling of this bike, and we commended Race Tech for the settings that they came up with for Mike Alessi because it helped us feel ultra fast on the track. Additionally, the carbon fiber subframe fuel tank made this bike feel extremely light. Instead of hitting the bumps, it felt like the YZ134 floated over the bumps, and once again, the power helped us out here too. Usually, 125 engines don't have enough grunt off the bottom end to jump over braking bumps, but this was a non-issue with Mike Alessi's big bore. Our pro-level test riders were hop, skipping, and jumping all around the big bumps at Glen Helen. Overall, we had a blast on this bike, and Mike Alessi used this one to make a lot of good money thanks to local racer and Hollywood stuntman Pasha Afshar. Pasha is a two-stroke loving racer who spends his own hard-earned money on motivating pros like Mike Alessi to buy 125 two-strokes, hop them up, and go racing again. Although Mike Alessi is on a new version of this bike nowadays, we still enjoy reminiscing about this bike, and we bonded with it. We didn't want our day of riding to end, but at least now we can better understand Mike's passion to keep racing, because when you're riding a bike that's that good, you never want to stop. All right guys, thank you for tuning into this video. If you want to see more two-stroke test videos, four-stroke test videos, shootouts, check out our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, and click the bell button for notifications whenever we release a new video. And check out motocrossactionmag.com for more of racing news, bike tests, product tests, what's going on in the industry. Check it all out right there.